We will start our syllabus, that is a liquid state. This is a second topic, the liquid state. In the liquid state, generally we have two different types of forces. They are weak van der Waals forces, which is acting in the liquids, and because of that reason, in the liquids, the molecules are not tightly bounded, they are loosely bounded. So I'm not going into detail because it is not there in the syllabus now about the bounds. So first is the intermolecular forces, and the second is called as the intramolecular forces. So these are the two different types of the forces which are generally acting in the liquids, which held the molecules of the liquid in the liquid state. Because of these forces, the liquid molecules present in the liquid form. As I said that it is not there in the syllabus. Now the syllabus has changed. So directly we will go to the important part of the liquid state, and that is called as the characteristic properties of the liquids. Now, the characteristic properties of the liquid state arises mainly due to the nature and the magnitude of the intermolecular forces of attraction existing between the molecules. So as we already talked about two different types of the forces, they are called as the intramolecular and the intermolecular forces. And because of these forces, depending on the nature and depending on the magnitude of the forces, the different types of the properties, that is called as the characteristic properties, arise in the liquid. There are many other properties are also there, like the density, the vapor pressure, and so on. But these are the other properties which mainly depend or only depend on the nature and the magnitude of the intermolecular forces of attraction existing between the molecules in the liquid state. So they are, okay, let's see, the vapor pressure, the second is the surface tension, the third is the viscosity, the fourth is the refractive index, and the fifth one is the optical reaction. So these are the characteristic properties of the liquids mainly arises due to the intermolecular forces, and these properties are different because they depend on the nature and the magnitude of the forces acting in the molecules of the liquid. Out of 5, you have to study 3 in detail, 3 forces you have to study in detail. First one is the surface tension. The term itself tells, that is, it's mainly acting on the surface of the liquid. The tension here is once again the force, not the tension what the human are taking, that is not the tension, here it is a force. So the surface tension is mainly arising on the surface of the liquid, and that is what we call as a surface tension. Viscosity is the second characteristic property what we have to study, and this characteristic viscosity is mainly depend on the viscous nature, how the thick liquid is or how fast the liquid is moving on the plane surface, and that is tell about the viscosity. And the third very important property is the refractive index. So once again, the refractive index will study in detail what happens to the refractive index as the light is moving from the rarer to the denser medium or denser to the rarer medium, it changes its direction, and based on that we'll study what is called as the refractive index. So we'll go one by one. We'll start with the first characteristic property of the liquids, and that is the surface tension. Okay. No, surface tension. So before going to the definition of the surface tension, know what is called as the surface tension. The surface tension, already I had told you, mainly arises due to the characteristic forces or the intermolecular and intramolecular forces exist in the molecules. Now, here a figure is there. You can see on the screen figure, and there are two molecules. For example, we had taken one is the molecule B and another is molecule A. The molecule B is in the bulk. In the bulk means inside the liquid, and the liquid A is on the surface. Okay. Now first we'll see about the liquid B, which is there inside the liquid or in the bulk of the liquid. Now the liquid B is surrounded by the large number of other molecules. Large number of other molecules in 360 degree. Now the molecules which are present above the liquid B try to pull the liquid B molecule on the upward direction. At the same time, there are many molecules which are below the liquid B. They are trying to pull this molecule B into the liquid in downward direction. So some forces, some molecules try to pull the molecule on upward direction. Some molecules try to pull the liquid B in the downward direction. So in this way, the total forces existing on the molecule B is zero, because the upward force is cancelled by the low downward forces, and hence the net force is zero. Similarly, you can see the arrow mark. One is on the right side, another on the left side. Naturally, the right side molecule try to pull the molecule B on the right side, and the left side molecule try to pull the molecule B on the left side. Once again, because there is an equal magnitude of the pulling force is there on the liquid B, so the net force is zero. This is the same in the 360 degree, and because of that reason, the total force on the B, the liquid B, is zero. Now we'll come to the molecule A. The molecule A, which is now on the surface of the liquid. Now first we have to know that the molecule which is on the surface, definitely the large number of the liquid molecules are below the liquid A, and there are very few molecules above the that is a molecule A. Below there are large number, and above that there are very few number of molecules of the liquid. And naturally, because of that is that the imbalanced forces, or there is not a same forces are acting on the molecule A. So there are more forces downward direction compared to the less forces on the upward direction. Because of the imbalanced, the forces which are acting on the A, so the molecule A is trying to go into the liquid rather than the above. And because of that reason, you are getting what is called as the meniscus. And this meniscus, what you can see when the liquid is taken in the burette, or the liquid is taken in the pipette, you are observing what is called as the meniscus. And this meniscus is mainly because of the downward attractive forces of the liquid molecule which are present on the surface, which minimize the surface area, which try to minimize the surface area. And this action of the liquid molecules mainly present on the surface is called as surface tension. Because I said that the liquid B, which is in the bulk, where the force is 0, whereas the liquid A, definitely there is, the forces are not equal. There is a different forces acting. The downward force is more compared to the upward forces. And because of the imbalanced forces which are acting on the molecule A, and this molecule A try to go into the bulk of the liquid, try to minimize the surface area. And that is the reason, and that is what we called as the surface tension. So how we can define the surface tension? The surface tension is defined as the force in dynes acting at right angle to the surface of a liquid along the unit length of the surface. And this is what we called as the surface tension. And here, usually you are getting only for the 2 marks, and that is the definition. The explanation generally they are not asking, but the 2 marks question they are asking, define the surface tension, and it is force in dynes acting at right angle to the surface of the liquid along the unit length of the surface, and that is denoted by letter gamma, and this is gamma, okay, gamma, and is expressed in dynes per centimeter, and that is the unit. Dynes in force, and then the length in centimeter, length of the liquid in the centimeter, and hence this gamma is a unit, what we can see here. And then this is what we called as the unit for the surface tension, and that we call the dynes per centimeter. So as per the examination is concerned, the definition is important. Definition is important. Important is the 2 marks, and that is definition, and then what is called as the determination. Okay. Now we'll come to the determination of the surface tension. Now the surface tension can be determined by using 2 different methods. Here one is called as the drop number method, and the second one is called the drop weight method. So first one is called as the drop number method, where we have to take the number of the drops, and the second we called as the drop weight method, where we have to take the weight of the drop, and based on these we have to determine what is called as the surface tension. And the figure what you can see here is called as very simple apparatus what we are using to determine the surface tension of any liquid, and that is called as the stalagmometer. It's called as the stalagmometer. So this stalagmometer is like this. It is a glass apparatus having the bulb at the center, and then the glass tube at the upper end and the lower end. At the lower end, there is a capillary. There is a capillary, and then you will have a large number of marks you can see here. And these are the marks we are using to count the number of drops which is falling through what is called as the stalagmometer. Now, what is the principle behind the determination of the stalagmometer? Thank you. Now, this is a drop number method. Okay. Now, the equation what we are using for the drop number method, derivation is not there for you. Okay. Only here we are determining the surface tension of the liquid in the comparison. Means the one liquid is known, the known liquid, and the liquid, the second is the unknown liquid. And by comparing the known liquid, we are determining the surface tension of the unknown liquid. So this is the equation for the drop number method. The gamma 1 is equal to N2 D1 upon N1 D2 into gamma 2, where gamma 1 is the surface tension of liquid 1. Now, for example, here we can say it is a water, for example, and gamma 2 is the surface tension of liquid 2, the liquid under examination. N1 is the number of drops of liquid 1, that is water, and N2 is the number of drops of the liquid of the liquid under examination. And similarly, the D1 and D2 be the densities of the liquid 1 and the liquid 2. Okay. Now, as I said, that is the stalagmometer. So here we are using this stalagmometer. Now you can see that the bulb, and then this is called as rubber tube, and to the rubber tube you can see that cursor. A rubber tube is attached to the upper part of the liquid, upper part of the stalagmometer, and then we are using here, and this is called as a pinch cock. It's called as a pinch cock, which used to control the drops which are falling from the capillary. So this is the practical what we will do next year, because in the third sem you have that, and based on that you will do next sem, you will do that practical by using the stalagmometer, the viscosity, determination of the viscosity. Okay. Now we have to take this, we have to wash and dry, and then we have to fix this to the stand perfectly vertical. We have to stand like that. You can see in the figure. Yes, in the figure we have to fix it. This is what we can see by using the stand. We have to vertically, you have to fix it, and now we have to suck the liquid from the rubber end. First we are taking the water and we have to suck the liquid. Now if you just carefully see that, okay, as these are having large number of the marks are there, so here you can take any mark to count the number of drops. Now this is what the way you have to suck the liquid in the stalagmometer, and then you have to adjust the pinch cock in such a way that the number of drops which are coming out from what is called as the stalagmometer must be 18 to 20 drops per minute. So this is the adjustment what we have to do. And in this entire experiment, 4 hours experiment, this is practical. In the practical, that your task is to adjust the rate of the liquid. The rate of the liquid, what we have to adjust is the 18 to 20 drops per minute. And once you adjust the rate, then you have to simply count the number of drops which is falling from upper mark to lower mark. And this is what you have to just see. You can see that the drops which are falling here, and this drops, you have to just go on count. Okay, now you have to count the drops from upper mark to the lower mark, and then you have to once again repeat that. Though here he has taken the water first as a known liquid, and once the reading for the water you have taken, and for example it is N1, the number of drops, N1 drops that you have to record, and then once again you have to wash the stalagmometer and you have to dry the stalagmometer, and then you have to go for the second liquid. Once again, the second liquid, the procedure is exactly the same. You have to suck the liquid above the mark, and then you adjust the pinch cock in such a way that the number of drops which are falling from the capillary must be what is called as the 18 to 20 drops per minute. Once you have taken the numbers of drops for liquid A and liquid B, then we have to determine what is called as the density. Now here you can see that So you can see the cursor, my cursor, and this is called as the specific gravity bottle. It is called as the specific gravity bottle. And by using this specific gravity bottle, we are determining the density of the liquid. Now, first, we have to take this empty specific gravity bottle, and we have to take the weight of the empty bottle. Empty bottle weight we have to take, and we have to record that, and that's called as W1. That is a W1. Then we have to fill this with water completely. We have to fill, and then you have to put what is called as the stopcock. That is stopcock. You can see that how we have to put that stopcock straightway, like that. We have to put the stopcock. Some liquid will come out. We have to clean that, dry that by using the filter paper, and then you have to take the second weight, and that is a weight of the liquid A, and that's called as water, with the specific gravity bottle. So we got that first one is the W1, the second one is the W2 with water, and the third weight what we are taking is the liquid, and that is called as the W3. So in this way, we have to take the three different weights, the empty specific gravity bottle, and then with the water, and then with what is called as the liquid under examination. You can see that we have to completely fill our bottle, the specific gravity bottle. Then we have to put the cork on that, and definitely some liquid will come out, and that liquid we have to clean with the filter paper, and then we have to just put it on the that is a balance, what is called as electronic balance, and directly you can take the weight of that how we are taking that same weight is the same. Just you have to just put it at the center, and the weight it will show, and you have to take the weight, and this is the third weight. It is called as the W3. And by taking these readings, we have to calculate. Now, as I said that we have to take the three different readings we have to take, and by using this, repeating the same procedure. Now, that is the first method, and the second method is a little different. Little different is not that too much difference in the second what is called as method, and that is what is we called as the weight, the drop weight method. And that is I will take in the next class. Okay, next class, because already time is just remaining time is 1 minute for this, so I'll just stop here. In the drop weight method, it is little lengthy. Nobody has to put a scratch on the screen. Okay, how many are present now today? Only 9. What about other? What about other? Oh, sure. Aisha Bhaskar.
Sir, 8, sir, not 9.
8 members. It's now 8 participants. 8. Okay, including me, it shows 9. 1, 2, 3, 6, and 8. What about the other? Yeah, almost 50% are not attending the classes. Remember, this time there is a possibility of offline classes will be a very, very minimum possibility because already the university has given the circular that the practical hours has to be engaged for theory, and you will get only some days for conducting the practicals, not the theory.